Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we're going to be doing another history video. People like my history videos. People keep asking me when I'm going to do another history video, and I thought, you know what? Right now, we're going to be looking at the Diamond and Pearl expansion, Great Encounters. One quick caveat here. I was playing when Great Encounters was out, but more towards the tail end, so I'm naturally going to be a little bit biased to cards that were good towards the end of Great Encounters. Maybe you were playing at the beginning, and you have fond memories of other cards from Great Encounters. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very friendly channel, so if you fit into that category, then go and get yourselves in the comments, start sharing those memories. I, for one, would be delighted to hear them. So coming in at a kind of honorary number 10, Darkrai level X and Cresselia level X. I saw both of these see play, but not a huge amount of play. Cresselia had a really nice poker power. For those that don't know, level X's just went on top of the regular Pokemon, but only when it was in the active. Think of it like break Pokemon. You kept all the attacks abilities of the underneath Pokemon. Once during your turn, you may move one damage counter from either player's Pokemon to another. So you could move damage around so you didn't do more damage than you needed. If you're going to KO anyway, move a damage counter to one of their bench, preserve that damage. Move damage to take KOs in the mid-game. Heal some of your Pokemon, etc, etc. It was kind of fun. It just never saw that much play. Similarly, Darkrai level X looks downright broken, ladies and gentlemen. It has a quite ridiculous poker body that means that all the darkness energy attached to your darkness Pokemon does 10 more damage. Little bit broken. Endless darkness, 2 dark, 1 colorless, 40 damage. The Pokemon is asleep. Flip 2 coins between turns. They've got to flip double heads to wake up. If they flip double tails, they're KO'd. It seems so good. And I saw so many people try and make this deck work. But honestly, ladies and gentlemen, it just never seemed to be particularly good. In at number 9, Palkia level X. This was really about the poker power restructure. You can make your opponent switch their active Pokemon with one of their benched, and then you do. It worked for a whole bunch of decks. It allowed you to get out the active. It allowed you to force your opponent to pull up one of their benched Pokemon. People would use it, for instance, with Flygon. Get Flygon in the active. Now it's active. Discard the top card from your opponent's deck between turns, and then get it out the active with Palkia. There were many uses for it. It's all play in a bunch of decks. It really started to taper off towards the end, but it saw a bit of play. In at number 8, Pachirisu, and I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, if this was legal nowadays, it would see play nowadays. 1 colorless energy, search your deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. It's Bridget in an attack. It was really, really good as a setup attack, and that is exactly how people used it. We've had a bunch of Call for Family attacks since, but very few of them, if any, got you that many Pokemon. In at number 7, Moonlight Stadium. It gave free retreat to all Psychic and Darkness Pokemon. So if you played a deck with Psychic and Darkness Pokemon, in comes Moonlight Stadium, and all of a sudden they've all got free retreat. It's all play in a whole bunch of decks, and why wouldn't it? People would use Uxie level X and then use Moonlight Stadium to just retreat it back. There was also a deck that used all 3 of the Lake Guardians, Azalf and Mesprit as well. This was really fun to just be able to retreat them all. Although the AMU archetype is described by Bulbapedia wonderfully as a short-lived and fairly unpopular archetype, which is a little bit sad. In at number 6, and ladies and gentlemen, I could easily put this at number 2, not number 1, you'll see why. Porygon 2. Porygon 2 was a fairly ridiculous card that has a poker power ability download. Once during your turn, you may discard a supporter card from your hand and use it as this poker power. So essentially, use a second supporter. Porygon 2 lets you use a second supporter. But if you use something like Super Scoop Up or later on Seeker to pick up Porygon 2, you can do this over and over and over and over again. And ladies and gentlemen, my good friend David Hockman has an unlimited deck that abuses Porygon 2 to deck you out on the first turn every single game, because you just use Porygon 2 to use many supporters. It's a little bit unfair. Coming in at number 5, Premier Ball. Premier Ball allowed you to grab a level X, like the aforementioned Palkia or like Luxray, for instance, which was pretty popular. Except you could get it from your deck or your discard pile. So in the early game it was search, and in the late game it was recovery. This made it so wonderfully adaptive that it basically saw play in every single deck that played level X's. In at number 4, Felicity's Drawing. Discard up to 2 cards from your hand. If you discard 1, draw 3 cards. If you discard 2, draw 4 cards. Now this is pretty good in and of itself, just because it allows you to draw extra cards. But here's the thing. When Gyarados came along, Gyarados did more damage depending on the number of Magikarp in your discard pile. Do you see where we're going with this, ladies and gentlemen? Do ya? It actually allowed you to discard Magikarp from your hand while then drawing cards as well to continue getting set up. Felicity's Drawing was such a good card that when it got rotated, Gyarados decks collectively wept. In at number 3, Beedrill. And I feel a bit wrong putting Beedrill as high as I am. But the thing is, Beedrill literally won the World Championships in 2009. I made a video about it. There's a link in the description. Go check it out. Band attack, 1 grass energy, 30 damage for each Beedrill you have in play. And back then, ladies and gentlemen, 120 damage for 1 energy was absolutely redonkulous. It really was a bit silly. And back then you had both broken time space, so you could evolve whenever you liked, and you could use Rare Candy on turn 1, so you could just go Weedle, Rare Candy, Beedrill straight away. And shortly thereafter in Rising Rivals, there was another Beedrill released, which allowed you to just search your deck for a grass Pokemon and put it in your hand. And yeah, Beedrill was so fast and powerful and downright good that it literally won the World Championships. Although, people that were around at the time will tell you, maybe it didn't necessarily deserve to. I'll let someone else tell that story in the comments if they feel so inclined. Coming in at number 2, Unown G, and it is Unown, not Unknown, as weird as that sounds. This was a very weird Pokemon that allowed you to attach it as if it were a tool to one of your Pokemon, not unlike Klefki most recently. And when it did, you basically stopped any effects of attacks, except for damage, done to that Pokemon. Now there are several different things Unown G was used for, but the main one here was Machamp. Machamp, for 1 fighting energy, got an instant KO on any basic Pokemon. So you would play Unown G, and then stuff like SP Pokemon, think the aforementioned Luxray GL level X, that were basic, did not get 1-hit KO'd by Machamp. It was absolutely crucial in a bunch of decks. It was, for a little Pokemon, weirdly vital. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we get to number 1, and anyone that was around when Great Encounters was revealed will not be surprised to see Claydol up at number 1. Another card that was so good that if it was released nowadays, it would go straight away into everybody's deck. Once during your turn, you may choose up to 2 cards from your hand. 0 is not up to 2. People tried this on me over and over again. It's annoying. 0's not a number. Pick 1 or 2. If you do, draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. So if you've got a hand of 3 rubbish cards, you put 2 at the bottom and draw 5. Not only did this allow you to draw cards, but it allowed you to put rubbish cards back into your deck. If you've got a Rare Candy and 2 rubbish cards in your hand, you put the rubbish cards back, you keep the Rare Candy, and then you get 5 other cards looking for the stage 2. Claydol was so good, people would literally play 101 Nidoqueen lines. 1 Nidoran, 1 Nidoqueen, because they were already playing Rare Candy, and Claydol meant you could legitimately play a 101 Tech Stage 2 line. That's the kind of format Claydol gave us. And you can argue about the rest of the list as much as you like, and I'd love it if you did. Go to the comment section, but I really don't think you can argue against Claydol being number one. Claydol was absurdly good. I miss it. Hey ho. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear your memories of great encounters. Maybe you've got your own top 10 list that you'd like to share. I'd love to hear it. Let me know in the comments. Go nuts. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWossy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, etc., you can do so at patreon.com/PTCG Radio. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.